Today's class we will be discussing about the arrays, basics of arrays topic. So first we will go with what is an array. So when we have an array is a data structure used to store multiple values of similar data type using single variable. Okay, so you can even define the array as it's a collection of items of same data type. That is, for example, when I have to declare five numbers, I have five numbers, I will declare it as, for example, integer int a, comma b, comma c, comma d, comma e. So for example, this is just declaration of five numbers is very easy using this variable int. If I want to declare 100 variables, 100 numbers using integer, it will be very difficult for me to declare 100 items using just int. I cannot declare int 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It will be very long procedure. It will be memory consuming and time consuming. To avoid this type, we will be using the arrays to represent a number. So with this, how do we know this is just a collection of items? It is 100 is a collection of integers. So based on that, we will just declare an array, or we'll just tell an array is nothing but a collection of items of same data type. Look here, when you have 100 is an integer. I'm declaring it as integer. So now, for example, I need to declare integers of 100 numbers. I can tell it is a collection of items of same data type. That is, any one data type which you give, that will be declared as an array. So array is a collection of items of same data type, or an array is a structure which is used to store a multiple values of similar data type using a single variable. Okay, so we are storing multiple, that is, we are storing multiple values. For example, there are 100 different values are there. These are multiple values, and we store these multiple values using a single name. Why? This name we declare it as integer. This is a single name, and we store a multiple values. This is known as an array. And always see to that this array is a derived data type. It is a derived data type. It is one of the non-primitive data structures which are derived from the primitive, like int, float, character, and double. So array is a collection of items of same data types. That is very, very important definition of arrays. Okay, now when you go with arrays, using arrays, consider the names which we have. So when you have arrays, we can consider this arrays. Consider an array named which contains 5 elements. For example, I will consider an array which is having 5 different elements. Look here, 5 elements are represented as n of 0, n of 1, n of 2, n of 3, n of 4. Okay, so these are 5 elements. There's first element, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Okay, the number written in the square braces, whatever you consider, this number is known as indexing or the subscript. This is known as subscript or indexing in the arrays. This is very important. Is either it is known as subscripting or indexing. This is just a simple example we are taking. So whenever you represent an array will be represented like this. So the name of an array followed by indexing. Consider an array named n elements, that is, the name of an array is n, and it is used to store 5 different elements. We represent the arrays in form of this n of 0, n of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whatever the square braces you write, that is known as indexing in arrays. Okay, the number written within the square bracket 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is called a subscript or an index. The elements of an array are called subscripted variables. These are subscripted variables. This is how we represent an array. Okay. And now, when you take this array, now we have to see how will be represented in a memory. Very important thing, memory representation of array or memory representation of any data structures you consider is very, very important. For example, consider an array of 5 integers. For example, I'll take array of 5. N is equals to 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the different 5 elements. How to represent them in a memory? For example, you can take a memory like this. This is the memory representation 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. These are the items which you have given, and you have to represent them with an indexing like this. Always see to that we will index an array with 0. Always start the indexing from 0 and end with, always start from 0 and end with n minus 1. So this is n of 2, this is n of 3, and this is n of 4. This is how we represent an array in the memory location. Okay, so where n of 0 is equals to, here we are taking an example 35, 40, 20, 57 and 19. N of 0 is 35, n of 1 is 40, n of 2 is 20, n of 3 is 57, n of 4 is 19. Some of example where concept of an array can be used are, this is very important. Examples are list of employees in a company, list of students in the college, list of customers. When we practically think about this arrays is a collection of items. As we know, it is a collection of items where we practically use to store the data records of an employees in a company, to store the data records of students in the college, or to store any customers who have belong to some company. So to store all those values, we will be using arrays. Okay, so this is just a basic introduction of arrays. Now we will see how to declare and initialize arrays. We have to follow certain rules while writing with an array. Okay, so what are those rules? Array should be declared with some data type. Always it should have some data type. Either it can be int, float, it can be character, or it can be double. Anything you have to use always a primitive data types to declare a array. This is always you should have some data type. All elements should be of same data type. That is very important. When you are trying to declare a list of items, for example, I declare a list of items of 20 items, and these items all should be of integers, or either they should be of characters, or either they should be of floating point number. All should be of same data type. The size of array is finite and it should be specified at a particular time at the declaration. This we will see in the type part of declaration. And always when you see this size, it should be a definite and it should be a finite size. The size of an array should be finite. And in an array, elements are stored sequentially, that is in a contiguous memory location. As we saw this one, look here, when we saw this is first item, and after first item, second item is stored, after second item, third is stored, after that, fourth and fifth. So this is contiguous. One after the other you have to store. So items in an element are sequentially, that is sequentially stored in the memory location. These are the certain rules we need to follow. Only one element can be added or removed from an array at a time. For example, you have an array element like this. Look here, there is an array 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to add a new element. You can add at the end, for example, 6. Or you can add at the beginning 0. And that is, you can add only one element. Only one element you can add at a time. Only one element can be added and only one element can be deleted. So you can have only one element at a time. At a time you can add or remove only one element at a time into an array. The subscript of first item is always taken as 0. This is for understanding purpose, that is the beginning indexing of an array will always be 0. This is very important. We always take 0 in the beginning. Each data item is accessed using the name of an array but with different subscripts. We always access, for example, I declare it as n of 5. I am accessing this as the name. So each data item is accessed with the name of an array. That is, name of an array is used to access the data item. Indexing of our always will be integer. Like this, whatever we give indexing, like look here, 0, 1, 2, 3, they should always be in integers. You should not use floating point numbers to represent the indexing. So these are the particular rules to be followed while using the array. Array should be declared with some data type. Array element should be of same data type. The size of an array is finite and it should be specific at a time of declaration. Array elements are stored sequentially one after the other. One element can be added and removed at a time. Only one element can be done. Subscript of first item is always 0, and you can access the item with the name of an array. You can access the item with the name of an array, and indexing is always an integer. Okay, so these are the particular rules when we have to follow with an arrays. So the definition of array is the collection of items of same data type, and this can be done with the help of name of an array, and accessing can be done with only the name of an array and indexing. Okay, so the next one is very important thing, types of arrays. There are two different types of array, single dimensional array and multi-dimensional array. What is the single dimensional array? A single dimensional array is one where array value is a single subscript or single pair of square braces. This is known as a single dimensional array which is having only one which in which array variable uses only single subscript or single square braces. That is known as a single dimensional array. For example, I can write it as n of 10. So here there is only one indexing or it is only one square braces. Since it is using only one indexing or one square brace, this is known as a single dimensional array. So the elements are stored continuously one after the other. This is very important. So for example, I have n of 10. So it is always like this. So it is stored as n of 1, n of 2, n of 3 like this. All the elements are contiguously one after the other. That is known as a single dimensional array. There are certain examples given x of 10, std of 10, usn of 10 are examples for a single dimensional array. How do we store them in the memory? This is how we store them in a memory. That is the values are stored and indexing are like indexing is done here and indexing always starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 and this is always n minus 1. This is how we store the elements into an array. This is single dimensional array. Now we will come to know, we will see how we will declare single dimensional array because once we use arrays or any of the data structures or any of the primitive data structures, first we need to know how they are declared in, how they are declared, then we can know how do we use in the programs. So declaration of undimensional. To use array, we must declare it. Very important thing. Whatever do you do, first you have to declare that before writing them in a program. Like any other variable, arrays must be declared before they are used in the compiler. For example, when we take integer or in any number, for example, I declare a number variable a. If it is an integer, I have to declare this. This is what we do. Data types. Using the data types, we declare a variable data type followed by variable name followed by semicolon. This is what the syntax of declaration of a simple any variable. This is how we declare. Same way we have to declare arrays also. Before they are used, we have to declare them before they are used, so that compiler can allocate space for them in the memory, because we always depend upon the compilers. Based on the compilers only, with the help of compilers we execute the program. So compiler has to know what is that we have declared. A is a user defined variable, but user defined variable cannot be understood by the compiler, so that should be given with a particular data type. Based on this, because these data types are already fixed inside the compiler, so that this variable will be converted into particular data type and that will be written by the compiler. Okay, so anything before you use in our program, first they should be declared and they should be used in the program. So the general form of declaration is always the general syntax. This is the syntax of declaration of a array. So the syntax is data type followed by name of an array, name of array followed by the size of the array. Whatever the size you want, you have to declare and followed by semicolon. This is the general syntax to declare an array. Here, type is a basic data type. Whatever we have, these are the basic data type like int, comma float, comma character, or it can be even a double, anything. These are the basic data types, and this name of an array is an array name given by the user. This is an identifier, name given by user. Whatever the name you want, you can give. Okay, this is the name of an array, and this size. Size is the basic, that is number of elements in that array. So this is what the general syntax of an array. First you have to declare the type of an array, that is what is a basic data type, followed by the name of an array, then followed by the size. So we will go with some simple example. For example, I'll take type as integer int. I will write a name of a variable as a, and I can write it as a size. I will write number of items are 5. Okay, so this is how we declare a variable in a array. And now how to represent this in a memory location, we already know whenever you have an array, this is represented in a memory like this. Always see to that this is the data type, this is the name of an array, and this is the size. Always arrays can be accessed only with the name. So you have to use the name and you have to represent them in a memory location. For example, I'll take this as A and always see to that indexing starts with 0, A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3 and A of 4. Okay, so this is how we index them in the memory location. For example, 5 different variables are there, 5 different. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the indexing will be from 0 to n minus 1, and these are the 5 different elements that can be fit in a memory location. This is how we declare a array. It can be integer, it can be character A of 5, where you are storing only characters in the memory location. It can be floating, float A of 5, where you can store only decimal numbers in the memory location. This is how we declare a array. Once we have declared an array, this is now, for example, I have declared 5 different items in an array. Now I have to put the values in the memory location. I need to give some values to the, for example, A of 0. What is the value of A of 0, first element? What is the value of A of 1, second element? What is the value of third element? I need to put some values into the memory. That giving the values is known as initialization. Okay, to give the values, that is known as initialization. Initialization of one-dimensional arrays. Initialization of one-dimensional arrays, after an array is declared, its element must be initialized. Otherwise, they will contain a garbage values. This is very, very important. What is this garbage value? So that unwanted values will be stored in the memory. For example, if I don't initialize this, for example, A of 5 is there. A of 5 has to be stored in a memory. I do not put any values into this. Some garbage values will be stored in the memory, where the memory will be wasted. To avoid that, what we do, we will initialize certain items into a memory. That is known as initialization. Assigning the values to an array is called initialization. So to initialize the value, we have a particular syntax to initialize the value. What is that syntax? Like declaration only. Here also same thing we have. We should always declare with the data type followed by name. Here also same thing. You should always initialize with the help of data type, name of an array, then followed by size, then this is very important. We have to write the values with the help of flower brace. This is very important, right? Flower brace followed by the values, how many values you want according to the size. This should be matching. This both should be matching. How many elements you have put in the size, so many elements you are initializing. Okay, this is what initialization of an array. For example, I'll take an example, int as a data type, A as the name. I will take it as 5 and I'll initialize 5 different variables, 10, 20, 30, 50, 40, 50. This is how we have to initialize the values. Look here, there are 5 different items and here also 5 different items are there. Size should match with the item. This is how we have to initialize the value. Now, how do we store these values? As we know, we have to always start with indexing A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, A of 3 and A of 4, because we are starting with 0 to end with n minus 1. And now, look here, this is how the values go into the values. This is how the values will be present in the arrays. For example, 10 is there, 10 will come here, A of 0, next element, because they are contiguously stored one after the other. So A of 0 is equal to 10, A of 1, 2, 3 and 4. This is how the elements are initialized and stored in the memory location. Now, for example, if you want to see, for example, what is there in A of 2, you can easily tell A of 2 is equals to 30. What is there in A of 4? A of 4 is equals to 50. This is how the elements are initialized to a particular memory location in an array. This is one of the technique to initialize the value. That is just name followed by the name of an array followed by size, and put all the values whichever you have to return to this. All values should be written within the flower braces. This is very, very important. This is one type of initialization of an array. Normally, we always follow this method to initialize an array. That is, we always write a programs with the help of keyboard. This is also one of the type of initialization where if you want to initialize very less elements of an array, you can just go with this initialization. If you're not doing with the less elements, you can go with this. That is reading and writing the array element from the keyboard. This is the second method of initialization of an array. What is that? Look here. We will be using printf statements and scanf statements to read the data and to print the data. So very important thing, to initialize an array with the help of this, we will be writing a for statement for I equals to 0, I less than and I plus plus. I have to use the help of scanf statement. Scanf, whatever the data type you write, percentage d comma, whatever the name of an array and I. This is the one method of initializing through the keyboard, because if I need to initialize 100 values or 50 values, like this initialization you cannot write. It will become very big. So to overcome that, we will be using a for statement to read and write. This is one type of initialization. This is what we follow in our normal programming. So for example, what is this? Look here, int I is equals to 0. 0 is less than n. For example, n is equals to 5. I will take, this is simple values I am taking. 5 and 0, the condition is true. Now you will read the data. You will put this into the memory. Now I will put one element, that is ARR of array. I is 0, ARR of 0 is equals to 10. Now again go back, increment the value of 5 by 1, 1. It will become 1. 1 is less than 5. Yes, the condition is true. ARR of 1, you will put value 20. Again increment the value of I by 2. I is now 2, 2 is less than 5. Yes, the condition is true. ARR of 2. So now we will put 30 like this till you will reach a condition where, for example, I have taken 5, 5 is less than 5, till the condition is reached, you have put the values into an array like this. This is one technique, that is reading the elements into an array with the help of for statement. That is one. Now I have read the elements into an array with the help of for statement. The same way I need to print them on the screen. That is, I have to write them on the screen. Same way we have to use the for statement for I equals to 0, I less than and I plus plus. Instead of scanf, we have to write printf statement. That is, we print it on the screen. Now look here, we have entered 10, 20, 30. Now this will be displayed on the screen 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 with the help of print statement. This is the second way of initializing the arrays into a memory location using for statement. Whatever the program we write, first we write the for statement, then we write either scanf. First we write for statement, then we write either printf. This is our second way of initializing the array values. Okay, so this is one simple example I have taken over here. Look here, this is the main. I am writing int I, array of 50 of n, enter the number of elements, that is I am entering the number of elements. I can enter n is equals to 10 or n is equals to 5. I'll enter n is equals to 5, then enter the values. Now look here, I need to enter the values. I am entering the values with the help of for statement. Now I am not using this initialization technique. I am not using this technique. I am entering the values using the for statement. As I explained the previous, for I equals to 0, I less than and I plus plus, I am entering scan statement. I have entered the values into a memory location. Then I print the same with the help of the printf statement. So whenever you are reading an element with the help of keyboard, this for statement is must and should. With the help of for statement, we either read or we either print the. This is the second way of initializing the variables into an array. This is very, very important technique of initialization of an array. So till now we have studied what is an array, declaration of array, initializations of array for one dimension. Now we will go with the second type of an array, that is multi-dimensional arrays. What is this multi-dimensional? The term represents the number of subscripts. So in a single dimensional array we used only one subscript. In multi-dimensional array the subscripts will be more. That is, it can be either 2 or it can be either 3. The indexing will be more than 1. That is known as multi-dimensional array. Example, look here, A of 10 and 10, A of 10, 5, 20, A of 5, 5. So this is 2-dimensional array, this is 3-dimensional. When you have 3 indexing, it is known as 3-dimension. When you have 2 indexing, it is known as 2-dimensional array. Okay, in our syllabus, we will be going with the 2-dimensional array. What is this 2-dimensional array? Array with a pair of square brackets. That is, array with 2 pair of square brackets. For example, I will take it as int A of 2 square of pair brackets is known as a 2-dimensional array. Two indices are called two-dimensional array. For example, A of this. And you can even write an indexing with a number 5 and 6. Okay, so two-dimensional arrays is used when the data items has to be arranged in the form of row and column. Look here, what is this first indexing and what is this second indexing? The first indexing is known as row and second indexing is known as column. When you want to represent an array in form of rows and columns, we will be using this two-dimensional array, especially with the help of matrices, either addition of matrix, multiplication of matrix, or subtraction, transpose. We will be using this two-dimensional array. So the uses of two-dimensional array, when you want to store the data which are arranged in form of row wise and column wise in a tabular column. Here, to identify a particular item, we have to specify two indices. Okay, the first indices is the row number and the second index will be the column number of an item. This is how we represent the two-dimensional array. Okay. Now, once we have know the definition, we have to see how they are declared. What is declaration of a two-dimensional array? General syntax is similar to one-dimensional array. That is, you have to write the type of an array followed by name of an array followed by indexing. That is first indexing and second indexing. For example, I'll take it as n and it will take it as m. So this is how we declare a two-dimensional array. For example, int a of 5 and 5. This is how we write an array with the help of two-dimensional array. And look here, for example, array has two sets of square braces. Hence, it is a two-dimensional array with row size and column size. Declaration informs the compiler that is reserved so many, that is m cross n contiguously one after the other. This is also very important. Why? Because arrays always the items are stored one after the other. Now we will see how this is represented. When we saw the one-dimensional array, representation is very easy. Now we will see how this will be represented. You have to represent rows and columns. For example, I'll write 5 different rows and 5 different columns. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Look here. These are columns and these are rows. This is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4 and row 5. Column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 and column 5. So now when you take an array, how do you represent them? For example, I'll take A of 5, 5. You should always start indexing with 0. So A of 0 of 0. Now row will be same. You have to increment the column number. A of first we will complete it first row. We will complete the first row, then we will go with the second row. This is the first row, always 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is first column 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. We always start with 0th row and go with an increment. So 0 row, first column. A of 0th row, second column. This is one. 0th row, 0 first column, 0th row, second column, third column, fourth column and fifth column. A of 0 of 3 and A of 0 of 4. This is how we have to traverse the first row, then we have to go to the second row. So to go to the second row, you have to implement the row now. So row is 1, column is 0. A of 2, column is 1. Sorry, A of 1, column is 1. A of 1, column is 2. A of 1, column is 3. A of 1, the column is. This is how the memory representation of a two-dimensional array looks like. Okay, this is how we have to declare the two-dimensional arrays. Now, the certain values I have to put into the two-dimensional array. I told you when certain items are not there in an array, it will be declared by garbage values. So we need to initialize the two-dimensional array like our first dimension, one-dimensional array. We have to even initialize two-dimensional arrays also. Initialization of two-dimensional array. Assigning required values to a variable at a particular time of declaration before processing is known as initialization. We already know this definition. Assigning certain values to a variable is known as initialization. Like one-dimensional arrays, two-dimensional arrays is also be initialized by the following declaration. Like this, we are declaring, that is using type, name of an array, then followed by row and column. If you want to declare directly with the help of square braces, you can declare with the help of flower bases. Look here, for example, first row, I have to complete the first row, then go with the second row. That is V1, V2, V3, Vn. This is first row. Then go to the second row. V11, V12, V13, like this. Then go with the third row. Like this, you have to initialize the values. This is the normal general initialization of two-dimensional arrays. This is the syntax of two-dimensional arrays initialization. That is, this is first row, this is second row, this is third row. Like this, you have to complete with the rows. And these will be columns. These are columns. These are rows. This is how the initialization of a two-dimensional arrays takes place. Now, for example, I don't want to initialize like this. I need to initialize with the help of keyboard. Same thing, whatever we did for single dimensional array, you have to do the same thing. That is, you have to use for statements and then you have to read the data. And same thing, using the for statements, you have to print the data. But when you are using the for statement, since it is two-dimensional, that is two indexing, we need to write for two different for statements. This one will be for rows and one will be for column. This is for within the for. Multiple for statements. Why? Because we have to go with first row and with all the columns, like as I did like here, first row with all the columns. So this is for first for is for row and next for is for column. Now this will be the first row, go with the first column, go with the second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column. Then finally again increment the value of row, again go with this, again come to this row, come to this row. Then finally you have to fill all the values into an array. So to do that, we will be using two different for statements in an array. Okay, so first one will be for for. For example, I'll take this for row is equals to 0, row is less than m, and row is row plus plus. Then we have to go with column for column is equals to 0. Column is, whenever you are indexing here, if it is m, you should always index that with another variable. It should not be same. So column plus plus. For example, m is equals to 5, n is equals to 5 I will take. So here I will take rho is equals to 0, r is equals to 0, okay, 0 is less than 5, the condition is true. So now since the condition is true, you have to come inside for loop. Now row is 0, it will be constant. Now you have to increment the column values. Now c is equals to 0, the condition is true, yes. 0 is less than 5, yes. Now put the values into an array, that is row of 0 comma 0. Okay, now again, go back here. You should not go back. Go back here. For example, this is a scanf statement. I have put the values. And here, go back to this. Increment the value of C by 1. Now, because we are in the same row, we have to increment the column. Row of, that is, for example, I'll take this as A of 0, comma 1. Now, put the value. Again, increment the value of C, A of 0, comma 2. Again, increment the value of A of C, A of 0, comma 3 till it will reach the condition 5 less than 5 will become false and you have to stop. Now, once it is false, you have to go to the upper for statement, that is outer for statement. Now, the increment the value of R by 1. R is equals to 1, column is equals to 0. Now, A of 1, column is 0. A of 1, column is 1. Now, we are into the second row. Column is 2. A of 3, column is, sorry, A of 1, column is 3. Like this, we have to complete it until we fill all the values into a memory, that is into this array. So this is what one for statement is for row and second for statement is for column. In order to read the two-dimensional array with the help of keyboard, we will be using this two for statements and one scanf statement. Once it is entered, I need to print them on the screen. So what do we do? Same thing, you have to write for statement, then one more for statement for, this is for row, this is for column, and finally you have to print them on the screen. Printf percentage, sorry, you should not write percentage d, and you should not write ampersand over here, A of row, comma, column. So it will be printed on the screen. To print the statement, you have to write print. Just to read the element, you write a scanf statement. So this is the general syntax for two-dimensional arrays, reading and writing and initialization. And so till now we have studied the basics of arrays, or how do we declare an array, that is what is the basic definition of an array, two different types of arrays, single dimensional array, two dimensional array, how to declare a single dimensional array, how to declare a two dimensional array, and how to initialize one dimensional and two dimensional arrays. So based on this basics of arrays, we will be moving to the next important topics of a data structures. So this is the basic review of a data structure.